Do you want more control over your life? More freedom? More confidence? Do you want to set your own rules and steer your own ship? Are you sick and tired of the 9-to-5 grind that's eating away at you and robbing you of all your time, barely getting you by? How about a new way? A new side hustle, side income you can use now to do things like pay off debt, buy a new car, wipe away credit card bills and student loans, remodel your home, take exotic vacations, fancier dates, buy your friends a round of drinks, send a nice gift to your family. How about an emergency fund or even a down payment for a house? And so much more. Welcome to the Flipping Ninja Podcast, where we teach you how to take charge of your life and make your own money flipping things on your spare time. Sound complicated? We'll cover it all, from what to buy, where to look, marketing and selling tactics that create demand, and bring you top dollar, research, pricing, creating ads that sell like crazy, and even powerful principles on the inner game of success. So if the idea of being your own boss is exciting, you're in the right place. Now, here's your host, the world's leading authority on flipping, AJ, from theflippingninja.com, unplugged and unleashed.
Hey guys, it's AJ, the Flipping Ninja. Welcome to this week's podcast where we're going to do a Flipping Ninja Q&A. So every week you're going to get a podcast that's going to be called the Flipping Ninja Q&A, and it's literally nothing but taking your questions, taking the most common questions that you guys have and answering them just totally on the fly, just trying to, hammer out as many answers and cover as many questions as possible. So I'm not going to really go super deep into each answer just because I want to kind of just keep it short and punchy, I guess, so I can try and get as many questions as possible. So I hope that's okay with you guys. So yeah, some of the most common questions that people have sent in and just have been wondering about me or about flipping or about this business is, how much money can you really make doing this? So a lot of people wonder, they hear about flipping, they're like, how much money can you actually make doing it? Like realistically and all that, right? And the answer to that is, I don't want to make it sound like a cliche answer or like something that's just really open or vague, but the truth is that you can make how much money you make in this business is completely up to you. And I'm not just saying that to make flipping sound good or like magical or hypey and stuff. I'm actually saying that because it's completely logical and just common sense. I mean, you literally have, depending on how much work you put in and depending on how much information you have, it's really up to you. So for example, if you're just starting out and you maybe don't really know that much about flipping and you haven't maybe you don't have that much time, yeah, you're not going to make as much money doing it as someone who has been doing it for a while and has more time on their hands, right? So that's the first thing to realize, is that it's subjective. So when, it's kind of a weird question when people are like, well, how much money can you really make doing this? It's like, dude, it depends. What's your situation? Where are you at? Because like I said, when I first started, before I knew anything about flipping, period, when I first started, it took me about 2 to 3 months of just kind of half-assing it to get to $500 per month, just with a couple hours per week. Okay, so I was, basically starting out total beginner, going really slow and just not like barely doing it, forgetting about it, just randomly trying it. It took by month 2 or 3, I was making $500 consistently after that. And then obviously it continued to scale, but yeah, so I mean, I'd say a good guideline is, as a beginner, you could get to 500 per month very quickly and very easily. I'm not going to talk too much about how easy it is to get to $500 per month. I'll save that for another episode, because you guys, I don't even know if you'll be able to believe how easy it is to make 500 per month flipping. Okay, but yeah, so I mean, you can make 500. I got to a point where, for a while I was like really just motivated, and I was in this total hustle, grind mode where I just was doing nothing but just, working and then flipping things outside of that. And for a while, I was making $3,000 per month. And at first that was a challenge. But like I said, as you continue to do it, it gets easier and easier, right? The more knowledge you gain, knowledge is power. But it's, so it's really, I know some people who are I know one guy who he was making $100,000 per year, strictly selling things on eBay. So he wouldn't even leave his house. Like he would do it all online. He would sell things on eBay. The only time he would leave his house is just to, obviously ship the items out. But he was making $100,000 per year just from his house on eBay alone. So, I mean, there's another model for you to think about, like, of, what's possible. So yeah, as far as how much can you actually make doing this, it's really up to you. Okay. So next question is, how many hours per week do you work and how do you divide your time? So like I mentioned in the previous podcast, the hours that you work per week, it's not really, okay, so the nature of the flipping business, the buying and reselling business, the nature of it, it's not a trading your time for money business. It's not a, hourly getting paid per hour type business. It's not that type of business. It's a profits and marketing world. It's a profits and marketing business. So when you're operating in a profits and marketing business, the amount of time you put in, the amount of hours you put in is not a good measure to, try and, think about, how many hours per week do you put in and how do you divide your time? Because here's the thing. There's been so many times where I've made $1,000 profit in 45 minutes of work. There's been tons of times where you'll walk into a thrift store and you'll literally spend 15 minutes there and you'll walk out having made $700. You see certain items, you buy them, and you flip them, and you make $700. So you literally, that's 15 minutes you spent at the thrift store. That's 15 minutes you spent driving home. That's 15 minutes you spent taking pictures and posting them up for sale. That's 45 minutes. Okay, you've just made $700 in 45 minutes, right? I mean, isn't that crazy? So it's not really like, I really don't want to give you like a how many hours I work per week type answer, because it's a profits and marketing world. So it doesn't really work like how we were, raised, like where, you just punch in, you get paid, X dollars per hour, you're done. But with that being said, I also know that a lot of you are just like, yeah. Just tell me how many hours, right? So for you guys, for that part of your curiosity that's, wondering, I would say all the years, I've been doing this for over 10 years, and all the years I've been doing this, I have never spent more than, I would say, 20 hours tops per week flipping. I've never spent more than 20 hours. Okay. So, I mean, think about that. 10 years of doing this, I've spent over $200,000 in this business buying things and selling them, right? All this time, I've never worked more than 20 hours in 1 week. And I will say though, I do remember there was one week where I might have hit 25. Okay. There was 1 week where I might have hit 25 hours working. And that was when I was at my peak with flipping, because I was just this crazy like flipping junkie. Okay, it was crazy. I basically turned my whole house into a place where I stored all my items. Okay, so it was crazy. I had like, maybe 5 couches. I had like 6 tables. I had furniture everywhere. It was not a normal, like, it's totally fine. You totally do that. Like I had my own place. I was a single dude. I was just doing my thing, right? I was just in hustle mode. But so I would say there was, when I was crazy, when I was in crazy flipping mode, I think I might have spent that 1 week. I think I might have spent 25 hours that week. Okay. But outside of that, I've made over $100,000 in sales flipping in 1 year. And I've never worked more than 20 hours. So my assumption is you shouldn't have to work more than 20 hours, okay, per week. And as far as how I divided that time, it was usually, so at the time I was working a full-time job. I was working a 9-to-5 job. So the only time I had to give this a shot and try it was after work and then on the weekends. So basically what I would do is I would, work from 9 to 5. I would get off at 5 or 5:30. And then I would have from like 5:30 to 9 p.m. because that's when most stores close. I would have those few hours to just hit up some thrift stores and look for things to buy and resell. right? So I would do it after work, a few hours after work, and then I would do it on weekends. So Saturdays and Sundays. I mean, oh my God, the funnest thing ever in the world. And I mean, you probably have to experience this a couple times first before you feel the same. But the best thing in the world is waking up on a Saturday morning, beautiful sunny Saturday morning early, and just getting ready to go out and freaking go thrifting. So you literally wake up and you go in all these stores and you go in all these thrift stores and you're seeing all these random things, and it's just super it's like this relaxing, super fun thing. But here's the best part. You're having so much fun, you're freaking making bank. So you're literally getting paid to spend your Saturday just going all these stores and looking at cool shit, right? I mean, I remember I would go to pawn shops. I would, I'll never forget these memories. I remember I would go to these pawn shops all the time around my neighborhood, and they always had the coolest things. So they would have like random, they would have like samurai swords and like, jewelry and watches. And they would have I remember one time they had the world's strongest laser pointer. Okay. The world's strongest laser pointer they were selling. And I actually bought that and I flipped it. And you could go to my, go to the flippingninja.com/blog. You'll see my post about how I flipped the world's strongest laser pointer. I mean, this laser would freaking burn through, it will burn you if you hold it on your hand or whatever. So anyway, I would go to these thrift stores and pawn shops on the weekends. So that's when I used how I divided my time, and that's really all I needed. So, after work and on weekends. The next question, what kind of transportation do you use? Okay, so as far as the transportation that I use, because I know there's a lot of people who flip small items, and then there's people who get into flipping bigger items like furniture or, bikes or whatever it is. And obviously, if you're looking to flip bigger items, you're going to need a bigger car, right? Or it's better to have a bigger car, because how are you going to fit this awesome dresser in your small Honda Civic, right? So here's the thing. When I first started, I had a sedan. Okay, I had a small car, and I would just use that. And because when I first started, like I said, I would only flip things that, were not big. So I would only flip things that I could, right? But as I continue to get more experience, I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of money in the bigger items. Why don't I try this? So then the first time I ever flipped something big, the first time was I rented a truck from Menards. And at first it was weird because I'm like, wait, I'm freaking renting a truck to do, this feels like it's too much. This feels kind of crazy a little bit. What the heck? Is this really... I felt a little crazy doing that, right? Renting a truck from Menards for I think it was $18 for 90 minutes. And then, picking up the couch or the piece of furniture or the chair, whatever it is, right? So so I started with a small car, and then for a while I was renting pickup trucks. And then I continued to rent pickup trucks. After my very first flip, I'm like, oh my God, I made this. How much did I just make from this one flip? I made so much money that it was crazy for me to not continue to rent trucks, right? But then after that, after I kept doing that, I'm like, okay, I'm flipping so much that I need to buy a truck, right? I need to buy just a beater pickup truck, because it'll probably be super helpful, right? So that's when I actually used flipping. I flipped a bunch of stuff and I made $1,500, and I literally bought an old red pickup truck, right? It was a total beater, but it did the job. It was rusty and whatever, but like I said, the only reason I needed it was to flip bigger items. Okay, so I got the pickup truck, and then after that I switched to an SUV, and then I did that for a while. I used an SUV, and then now I actually sold the pickup truck. I sold it for a profit. Funny enough, I sold the pickup truck for a profit, and I just have an SUV now. So having an SUV does the job perfectly now for what I do, because first of all, it's a big car, and I can usually flip large items and carry it around just fine. So like I said, it doesn't really matter too much what you start with, as long as you start learning and start doing it. That's what matters, is start doing it. Even if you have a small car, you have to get started. So as far as transportation, that's what I used. All right, next question is, how do you manage to get big items if it's just you doing the pickups? So a lot of times whenever I would have to pick up a bigger item, I would rely on the sellers helping me out. So literally I would go there by myself. I would go there alone, and then I would just hope that the sellers would help me carry it out and haul it and lift it into my truck. And then I'd have to figure out how to the rest on the other side on my own. But that's what I did for a while, especially when it was a killer deal. And then after that, I would just bring a friend to help me. And then eventually, I actually started to get really creative with how to move large items single-handedly. And it's not, you don't have to be some muscle man or some strong man or, some person, strong woman or whatever. You don't have to be like super strong to lift large items. Okay. You can rely on brute strength and try to power it, but you're actually, it's too risky. It's totally not worth it. Okay. You're basically playing with fire because it's like, yeah, you could muscle it and this and that, but it's like you're putting your body, your back, everything at risk for injury, right? And it's just not so it's not brute strength. It's not power. The thing when it comes to moving big items, if you don't have help, and even if you do have help, is technique. Okay. Everything comes down to tools and technique when it comes to this stuff. Okay. When you're moving a big item, you're doing it right if it's barely any work for you. Like if it's not hard work for you, if it's like super easy and you barely put in any, muscle or effort, then you're doing it right. Because that means you're utilizing tools and technique. And there's always tools and techniques that'll make any moving job easy. Okay. So that's the key when it comes to moving large items. You shouldn't be, trying to muscle it. I mean, you can. I obviously did it before I learned how to, move items on my own. I would not recommend it. I would recommend instead invest in learning how to move things on your own. Invest how certain tools like straps or, techniques of, carrying or moving items, just kind of get familiar with it. Invest just the time to learn that part so that you never have to muscle things again. Okay. So that's what I would recommend when it comes to, moving large items. Next question is, where do you store your stuff and do you have a big backlog of items? So for the longest time, not for the longest time, even now, I store my items mainly at first. Okay, when I first started flipping, before I bought my house, I lived in just like a small 1-bedroom apartment. So I would just literally store my items in my apartment, wherever, living room or, extra room, wherever. I would just literally store them wherever. It's not a big deal, right? So once I did not have a big backlog of items back then because, the items would sell pretty fast. So it's not like I would be sitting on things for a long time. They would sell pretty quickly. And then, so basically after I moved into my house, after I bought this house, I had, it was bigger, I had more space, I had a two-car garage. So I just started doing the same thing, except I just had more space now and I had a garage. So I literally just store my items there in my garage and at home. And same deal with those. They move pretty quickly. They sell fast, but that's just because I know how to sell them fast and I know how to advertise and, create ads that sell. But they sell pretty quickly. Next question is, do you turn the items around quickly and do you sell via any websites other than Craigslist? Yes, I do turn them around quickly. Items sell very fast whenever I post them up. I would say sometimes it'll sell in a couple hours. Obviously not all the time. That would be freaking sweet if it's sold all the time in hours, but it usually sells in either a couple days or about 2 weeks tops. Or if I'm totally slacking, I have sat on items for longer than that. But usually if an item is not selling within, fairly fast, then that usually means that there's a marketing problem on your side. It usually means either your pictures need work, you've got poor pictures, or it means, your description needs work. It's not compelling enough. It's not selling the item hard enough. Your price could be way off, but usually I save price for last because usually if you're good, how you can basically craft photos in an ad description that justify a high price. Okay. If you're good, but so I would usually save price for last. I would check my pictures, my title, and my description, right? And also the category too. But category is not as important as the pictures, title, and the description. So yeah, items sell pretty quickly. If they don't sell fast, then that usually means you need to come back and work on something in your ad and try again. And then as far as any other websites besides Craigslist, so I've made several thousands of dollars because of Craigslist. I've made thousands through eBay. I've sold on OfferUp. I've sold on LetGo. I've sold on Facebook Marketplace. The thing is, it's not really about the channel. It's not about the medium. It's not about, oh, what's the best place to sell? Craigslist or eBay, or it's not about that. When it comes to selling and what websites or platforms to use, my philosophy, and this should be your philosophy as well if you want to skip through all the nonsense and just be successful fast, is your job when you're flipping an item, your mission and your job is to get your product in front of as many eyeballs as humanly possible. Okay, so that means you want to be omnipresent everywhere. Okay, I call it, it's one of the 5 secrets that I share in my flipping process and philosophy. Okay, it's called octopus selling. Now, octopus selling, basically, an octopus has 8 legs, right? So an octopus has 8 legs. That means you want to be 8 different places. That means you want to be everywhere. Okay, 8, 9, 10, as many. If you want to be on every medium, every website, every platform that you can, because you want to place your product in front of as many eyeballs as possible. Okay, so a lot of times when I'm selling something, I'll post it on Craigslist, I'll post it on eBay, I'll post it on Facebook Marketplace, I'll post it on OfferUp, I'll post it on LetGo, I'll post it on 5 Miles, I'll post it everywhere. Okay, and the reason you do that is because, let me just give you a quick example. Let's say that you bought something and you are planning to flip it for a profit, right? Let's say it's some trumpet, right? You find this trumpet. Now, this trumpet, you bought it for $20 at a garage sale. You look it up online and you see that average prices are $100 to $150, right? So you bought it for $40 and you can sell it for $100 to $150. Now, other people can go and sell it for $100 to $150. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in selling this trumpet as a $350 masterpiece, top of the line, freaking trumpet that is legendary and epic. Okay, so what I mean by that is, and this is another little lesson for you, very powerful lesson, is don't bother what other people are selling items for. Okay, you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to be able to make as much money as humanly possible in as little time. Okay, and to do that, you can't follow how everyone else sells things, especially if you're listening to the Flipping Ninja podcast. I don't teach you guys to just flipping. You buy something low, you sell it for more, you made a profit. It's like, no, that's average. That's what the average Joe would do who gets into flipping. I'm not interested in teaching you guys how to get average results. Okay, I'm interested in teaching you how to get disproportionate, unreal results. Okay, so when I say that, that means that I want you to know how to sell items and market them and create ads that sell not just for what the item's worth, but for double, for triple, for quadruple that. And I want the buyers to thank you for selling them the item. Okay, so you're not ripping anyone. Here's the thing. Some people think that when you buy something and you sell it for more money than you bought it, some people think that you're committing a crime, right? I mean, some people think that it's unfair and you're scamming somebody. But the thing is, that's what business is. That's how people have been doing business for thousands and thousands of years. I mean, that's how literally the companies that you go to, JCPenney's, Walmart, Sears, wherever it is, they literally buy low and they come and they sell it to us for more, for profits. We don't think they're crooks. We don't think they're criminals. That's literally how business is done. So for those of you who are like, oh, that's crazy, you're ripping people off. It's not like you're scamming people and ripping people off. I mean, these are you're selling something. People aren't stupid. If they're happily willing to pay you for it and you justified the high price and why it's worth that much, they'll be pissed off if you don't sell it to them, right? So back to what I was saying. I want to teach you guys how to sell things for, way more than what the average person might sell it for. And part of that is, part of the strategy for that is, getting in front of as many eyeballs as possible. Octopus selling, being everywhere. Your ad should be everywhere in front of thousands of people, right? Because at that point, not only do you have this killer ad that sells like crazy, you're exposing it to thousands of people. And at that point, all it takes is one person to raise their hand and say, oh my God, I've been looking for that trumpet since I was little. I want to buy it. When can I pick it up for you? I'll even pay you $400 if you save it for me. That's all it takes. Okay. So if you post on one website, let's say Craigslist, let's say you reach 5,000 people. But let's say you post on eBay, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace as well. Suddenly you've reached 25,000 people, right? Actually, more than that from eBay. You probably reach over, 6 figures. You probably reach like over 100,000 people, maybe millions even, right? But think about this. If you posted just on Craigslist and you've got 5,000 people to see it, it's very possible that all those 5,000 people will see your ad and be like, that's crazy, not interested, I'm looking for something else. And they'll say no, they'll pass on it, right? But what happens when you're suddenly in front of 25,000 people? When your awesome, epic, legendary trumpet ad is posted up for sale in front of 25,000 people, do you honestly believe that there's not at least one person who will raise their hand, run to their phone, call you and say, when can I pick up the trumpet? I mean, I'm pretty sure you know the answer to that, okay? And that's what I'm saying. A lot of times, it's not just one person. It's 3 people, 4 people, 10 people, 15 people who are calling you. And suddenly, what is that? You've got more demand. So when you've got more demand, what does that mean for you? If you wanted, you can raise your price. Is this making sense to you guys? I hope I'm not getting too, I hope I'm communicating with you in a way that makes sense and is not too overwhelming. Like I said, I wanted to keep these answers short, but I just get carried away sometimes because I want you guys to learn this stuff. So yeah, to answer your question in simple terms, do you turn the items around quickly and do you sell via any websites other than Craigslist? Yes, I sell them quick. Yes, I sell on a bunch of websites besides Craigslist. We're going to wrap this up. And like I said, I hope these questions were helpful to you. I know a lot of you guys have been asking some of the same questions. So keep sending your questions in. Just let me know what your questions are. Anything related to, flipping, buying and reselling, where to buy things, what to look for, what are the best items, how to create ads that sell, how to write ads, how to take photos, all that stuff. Whatever your questions are, let me know what they are, and I will go through all of them and answer them on next week's Flipping Ninja Q&A podcast. Until next time, and remember,
you're always just one flip away from freedom. See you guys.
This has been the Flipping Ninja Podcast. From the crew at theflippingninja.com, we believe that all Americans should be able to make their own money without having to rely on a job. If you're ready to ditch the 9-to-5, visit theflippingninja.com and join our Flipping Ninja Blueprint Masterclass, where you'll discover how to earn a reliable side income of $1,000 to $5,000 a month flipping things with just 5 to 10 hours a week. See, we're on a mission to help 100,000 people earn $1,000 a month on the side flipping things. Working professionals, students, parents, men, women, artists, techies, entrepreneurs, introverts, total newbies, you name it. Be a part of the revolution and blast out of living paycheck to paycheck once and for all at www.theflippingninja.com. Until next time, remember, you're just one flip away from freedom. Want to make a difference? If you enjoyed today's show, please pay it forward and head over to iTunes. Give us a rating and leave a review so others just like you can benefit and take charge of their financial future.